Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin podcast. My name is Josh, and on tonight's final cast, I have Benjamin Teets of Robohawk. Benjamin reached out to us. I'll call you Ben. I'm sorry. You told me Ben earlier, but Ben reached out and wanted us to give an honest review on his tethers. And, we've seen a lot of social media action on Facebook and Instagram through multiple anglers throughout the industry who have been raving about him. So, we were Ben sent us a couple actually different sizes and some foam tethers, and we passed them out to some of our other team members on Paddle and Fin to get everybody's opinions. And everybody's so far been impressed with them, except for me, because I sent Daniel a phone tether minus the actual phone part that he needed, which is the rubber piece that snaps around the phone. So now he's just got this small short tether with minus the phone part. So I got sending that in the mail on Monday. Sorry, Daniel. But so Ben, how you doing this weekend, buddy?
Good, man. How you been?
I'm doing well, man. Just wrapped up the past 2 weekends being at the Cincinnati Travel and Boat Show, and it was a great time. But I was kind of relieved that it was finally over, man. It's kind of, you find yourself. I had a lot of fun and realized how much knowledge I actually have of kayak fishing, and even like boats that I don't even paddle like in general. But apparently, I've been paying enough attention to be able to answer questions. So it was nice to try to get people get their foot in the door when it comes to the kayak fishing community. A lot of people have questions, and you kind of get to explain why some of the boats are, such a high price compared to the cheaper ones you see in some of those big box stores. So it was a good time. Unfortunately, Brad's not with us tonight. Brad kind of got sick, started feeling sick at the show, and he ended up, it was funny is I actually rode with him because Brad and I live like 5 minutes apart. And so he came pick me up this morning. He's like an hour and a half in, he's like, man, I'm not feeling good, dude. And I was like, this isn't good, dude. I'm going to be stuck in Cincinnati. I'm not like real far from Cincinnati, but far enough. And, we're up in Dayton, so it's about a 55-minute drive. So Jason said he'd take me back, but Ricketts lives all the way down like near the Little Miami River and Ohio River, which is just east of Cincinnati. So he had to make a trek basically an hour up and probably an hour and a half back home just to drop me off after that show. So I felt bad because he was completely going out of his way. But Ricketts, thanks, bud. But so Ben, are you guys doing any shows this coming season?
No, I don't think so. It might do a local show for the Bassmaster swap meet they have here in town. They do that every year. I've been to it a few times. It's kind of a mix of everything. So
Yeah.
it's not boating specific or even, kayak specific. I know Hobie was there last year. We have some local guys called the Mud Bums. I don't know if you've seen their show or not. They go there a lot. So I might do that one, and I think I might go to Canoecopia just for fun, not as a show, but just to enjoy it myself. I have a buddy that lives in Madison, so it just kind of works out. Stay overnight, do it for cheap.
Nice.
See all the boats. I want to see that new Slayer Max pretty bad. I know Native's going to be there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people really excited to see that boat. Brad can't stop talking about it, dude. He's like, oh, I really like those, man. And he's a bona fide guy. So he was kind of stoked about the merger, but he's not 100% sure like what's happening with our shop and stuff. But, he's excited to see it. And I've never been to Canoecopia, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. Brian and I talked about like some of the shows that we were wanted to do outside of the actual like the fishing and boat shows that we all kind of been involved with in the past, like whether we've been guests, or just visiting to do it or whatever with shops. So one of the things he had mentioned was Canoecopia, and I was like, man, from what I understand, dude, that's a really good thing to get out to if you're a vendor, because you could get like really target our specific like genre of kayak fishing, in a sense. So I know they have a wide variety of stuff also, but it's a good show from what I understand. So
Yeah, largest in the country, I believe. At least that's what they advertise, right?
yeah, yeah. So Ben reached out, like I stated before, and sent us some tethers for us to review. So we're going to talk some more tethers. And I'm going to start out saying that I got the foam tether and I think it's one of the larger tethers. It would be used for like your catch boards or whatever. So, Ben, you want to kind of go through what your guys' current lineup is currently, what you guys got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest things that we sell clearly are the phone tethers. Probably one of the most expensive pieces you carry with you on your kayak, if not every day.
Hmm.
Um, can't fish a tournament without it.
Yeah.
You're done. It's the absolute must-have thing. So we have two separate phone tethers. We have the card style that slides into the case, so a case is required. That's the one I prefer personally.
Hmm.
And then we have the web style that stretches over up to a 6.5 inch phone. So if you don't want um, something that goes in your case, that's okay. That we have an option for you. If you want something that's quicker, you can definitely use the Talon, which is the stretch style. But I mean, you can see it on my phone right now. I keep the Hawk in here uh, at all times. So with or
Nice.
without the carabiner, it doesn't matter. It's pretty small if you take the carabiner out. So you hear a lot of that. I don't want to take it in and out all the time. Well, you don't have to. You can leave it in there, take the carabiner off of it. It's pretty minimal of a tag just hanging out the end of your phone.
Yeah.
Other than the phone tethers, we have the tool tethers, four different ones there. You got, I think, all three of them, and then you kind of spread them out throughout some of your buddies there. But
Yeah.
um, we have a triple tether, which is the shorter one that goes more on your PFD, or if you're ice fishing on your bibs, something that's right on your chest. And then we have the 40, the 65, and the 85. And then as the number goes up, they get bigger.
Yeah.
Those are to hold, various items, obviously tools, dry boxes, catch boards, bump boards, whatever you want to call them. And then we have your typical rod leash, paddle leash, and that kind of thing.
Cool. Cool. And you said the phone tether was your number one seller?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd probably 10 to 1, honestly.
Nice, nice. I mean, I gotta commend you, dude. I wasn't aware that you had two options to utilize for the phone tether. I was under the assumption that you had the rubber grip style. Didn't know you had a card style. And that's pretty cool, man, because a lot of companies that are out there will kind of utilize just kind of one sometimes, and then they
Yeah.
just stick with that one. So I know one of my first actually episodes on the podcast was from a company that was based out of like California that deals with diving types like tools, and they make like a tether that is sort of like a clip on it. Kind of reminds you of the boomerang, the boomerang snips that people have for
Yeah. I
like
have a
cutting
pair.
fish.
Yep.
Yeah, so this company makes a style of tethers like that, and they had offered like three or four different kind of mounting options also kind of for ways you can utilize for your phone, but it was all kind of separate. Like it was kind of weird. We all kind of had like a phone tether size, but we all had different stuff and didn't really understand like what we actually had. And Jay had mentioned one point, he's like, dude, I went and visited their site and realized that they had this other mounting option, but we weren't really even aware of it. So it's definitely a great thing that you kind of show, like, that you guys have two options out there. I know personally, I carry I have a life proof case on my Galaxy. So utilizing the card style, I liked, but at the same time, I'm like, I wonder if that's going to mess with the case itself, because I have dropped this thing and in the water and it did its job, but there was something wrong with my latch on the bottom and water got in and it cooked my battery. It didn't mess up my phone, but it messed up the actual battery itself. And when I was on a trip, it's like I was on a 10-hour float by myself and I'm trying to call my wife because she's freaking out. And every time I would call her, I could only talk to her for 15 seconds because my phone would I could feel it getting hotter as I was sitting there talking to her. So I was like, I can't stay on here real long. I'm just going to keep calling you, updating that I'm all right. And I have to go because I'm afraid this stupid lithium battery is going to explode next to my ears.
You've seen the videos. That's not good.
Yeah. Like I ain't messing around, and I literally dropped it in like 2 inches of water. It was right when I was getting ready to launch, and I had put it in my vest and didn't zip my vest up, and I leaned over to grab my paddle, and it just plopped right out. So I've been fortunate. I've never dropped one in the bottom of the lake, but I dropped this one last season, this exact phone, and everything held up fine so far. But it's when it's in a tournament, or I mean, it takes a little bit of depth, and you realize you're not going to probably get that back. Whether you dropped it somewhere it's real rocky and it can kind of go down in between some rocks, or in the sticks, or somewhere that that you're not going to really want to be putting your hand and trying to dive down and get, even if it's kind of on the shallow side.
Right. I heard or actually, yeah, Nate Gloria told me a story. Right before he left for Hobie Worlds, he was fishing and dropped his phone in 6 foot of water. Said it was the second time that he had done it, um, which is crazy that he got it back so he could fly. I think he went to Australia actually. And I saw him at Mozingo, and he told me that story. I did the Hobie satellite there. I think it's last August, and I ran into him at the ramp, and he told me that. I was like, dude, I got you. Like I had a bunch of them in the car ready to go. So he's using that all the time now, and it's just crazy to hear the stories. Like
Yeah.
everyone has a phone story, and if you don't, your buddy does, and you give him crap about it, like all the time. Like every single person you know has a story or knows someone that has done it.
Yeah, and if they don't have a story yet, you will.
Oh yeah,
You will.
absolutely.
Unless you're smart to it and you start catching on and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and pull the trigger and get a phone tether. So hit up Robohawk, man. They got you guys covered.
Yeah,
So
man. I was looking at I pulled up my Verizon thing the other day to see what I was paying for insurance, on your phone, and it's like I think $10 or $12 a month. So the Talon tether is $15, and the
yeah.
Hawk is 16. Um, Pretty much about 1 month of your insurance that they require that you have, you can just save yourself some time and just make sure you don't drop it and have to use it. So it's
Right,
pretty cool.
right. Yeah, man. It's a great idea. So what kind of made you think to start making tethers? Like when did you guys start Robohawk?
I started the company in the summer of 2018. I've been making these since 2015. That's when I got my first kayak. Making them since then. I went on a fishing trip with buddies and took some with me, and they were playing with them and they thought they were cool. Like, man, these are awesome. Like, you should sell these. I was like, yeah, I could. So I kind of played around with it for a while. The design I had was rough at the time. It wasn't meant to aesthetically look great. It was just meant to be functional. So I kind of kept updating them and got a company name put together, a website, and so forth, and slowly started rolling them out and selling them it's right around June probably of 2018.
Awesome, man. And how's business been going so far?
It's good, man. It picks up all the time, and for the middle of winter, December and January, I every night, I have a full time job, so this is part time for me right now, and it's 2 3 hours a night, 4 or 5 hours on the weekends. It's pretty crazy, just trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And you guys are kind of, I noticed it's getting real active for you. You guys got some anglers that are really kind of pushing Robohawk, and that's awesome, man. It's great. We really love seeing these small companies like yours, start to do well and start, because you guys kind of got that. I mean, you're a kayak angler, so you are making a product and you stand behind it, and it's something that you enjoy doing because it's the other passion that you have, kayak angling, and you're like, you know what, why not start a business? And it kind of makes it easier to do work like that, when you have a passion. Like when I was at the boat show, I was laughing. I'm like, man, I worked all week, worked like a 50-hour work week or so. And I'm like, man, really kind of think about it. Like the last thing I want to do is do more work on Saturday, Sunday. I haven't seen the kids, but I got out there, and it's kind of cool when you're involved in the business of just talking, even just talking kayak fishing, get people involved, getting them to spark an interest in something you have passion about. It makes it really easy to talk about, and it actually it made the time fly by. I was like, I didn't really feel like I was working.
Yeah, you just have a great time.
Yeah. So, what is some of the stuff that's going to set Robohawk apart from the competition?
That's a great question. When it comes to the materials that go into all of our products, we try a lot of stuff out first to see what the best is. It wasn't find the cheapest one and use that. So
Right.
if it can be produced and bought and made in the United States, it's going to be. Nearly every component is. The carabiner is not. I just couldn't find one that was, cost effective to keep the price of the overall product down.
Right.
Otherwise, the core is made in the United States. The crimp that goes on there is. The paracord sheath on the outside is also made in the United States. That was really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I want to pass that on. And then, everything's handmade. Absolutely everything. Um, Everything is coiled, custom by me right now, and put together with my two hands. So I'll stand
Awesome.
behind that all day long.
Very cool, man. And one thing that I wanted to kind of give you like a kind of a comparison, like, so everybody's aware that I did a Rogue video recently. I talked to Mark, and Mark's company offers a larger carabiner on their tethers. But one of the things that I found, like looking at both of your guys' products, is that in a sense, you guys should kind of utilize both of them, in my opinion. Like, this is awesome for the phone tether. And I think like the bigger ones, like say for your catch boards or whatever, could benefit from using a larger one. It doesn't have to be by any means. Like, they both actually work. But I was sitting there thinking in my head, I'm like, where I plan on hitting my phone tether is going to be on the inside. I have a NRS Chinook, right? And there's actually tether points built inside the pocket. And I'm like, this is going to strap in a lot easier than the larger size carabiner. But then at the same time, I'm like, but the larger carabiner could kind of be utilized a little bit better with some of the mounting points that you have on kayaks, I guess. Like, some of them have like big spots of webbing on the seat, or something to that nature, or a handle that's readily available right there. That larger carabiner is going to actually probably fit better. Like, I have a Coosa HD. It's an older model, and it has like a cloth style handle, right, actually in a good spot to be able to tether my board, my catch board to. So I was like, yeah, this is going to kind of struggle. I think it'll clip on, but it's going to be a really tight fit. So I was just throwing that out there for you guys. You guys might be able to utilize kind of both to your benefit to kind of make it like fit different options, or even maybe like, or you could even buy a couple carabiners, like, Robohawk carabiners, and like you have a large size and a small size, something like that. Has you guys ever given any thought behind that?
Yeah, when I started, I actually had a bigger carabiner,
Mm-hmm.
similar to that size, and I like the smaller ones for multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being what you said: if you have a tight area, that carabiner is more likely to clip to it.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be able to fit around pad eyes, which is really important
Nice. Yeah.
on kayaks. So pad eyes, if you have any bungee on your kayak, it'll fit around that. But I measured it. Um, the carabiner I have, it is smaller, but it'll still open to I think it's about 3/4 of an inch. And then
Yeah.
I took the big one, which is a lot bigger. The diameter is bigger, so it's harder to get through those small loops on a vest or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it only opened like an inch. It didn't open that much bigger. So when it came to, how is this going to tether to a popular spot on a kayak, the smaller one just made sense.
Yeah.
But the one you have with you, that's the really cool thing about them is the carabiner here. This can be your anchor point, but it doesn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people will connect whatever they want to tether with a carabiner, and
Yeah.
then loop this around the seat. It
Yeah.
also
Like
comes
loop
with,
it through.
yep, exactly. And it also
Yeah.
comes with a split ring. So you can attach that split ring to anywhere you want or remove it completely, and attach it that way. But I connect a lot of things to my seat because it's right there.
Yeah,
Scissors and
that's
pliers.
a good point. Like, the catch boards come with like those pre-drilled holes, and you could actually probably just thread the actual key ring onto it, thread it, through itself on the base of, on the bar of your seat, and then clip the carabiner to that key ring, and then you can kind of makes a quick disconnect point, as opposed to trying to even feed it through the board itself. You'd have the key ring always on your board. So you can even
Yeah.
make it like movable at that point, like a little bit easier to kind of deal with.
Yeah,
That's cool.
personally, the one that I have on my hog trough, I don't have the split ring on it at all. I put the loop through the board, and then I
Mhm.
just clip the carabiner to the webbing in my seat. The
Gotcha.
the part that kind of is your recline portion of the seat, it clips right on there pretty well.
Nice. So that's what's kind of cool about this. You guys are doing these tethers, and there's multiple mounting options. It's kind of like a personal preference then at that point. What do you like? What looks clean to you, or whatnot. So, now how many colors are you guys offering, and what are the colors?
Yeah, we have 9 colors. Um, I wish I could probably rattle them all off, but most popular ones are Black Widow, which are black and red,
Mhm.
Gecko, which is a mix of neon green, Kelly green, yellow, and black. So kind of looks like that new Hobie 360 Amazon. Actually, when I saw
Nice.
that come out, I was like, oh, that's a perfect fit. So um, neon orange is really popular for that high visibility. A lot of people really like neon orange. We have a blue camo that people like. The goal when we first started was to um, try to match kayaks, and the popular colors of kayaks are generally orange, green, and blue.
Mhm.
And then surprisingly, the red and black one just it kills. It's
Nice.
by far the number one seller.
That's cool. Yeah, I've got this is the color that I have. It looks like it's kind of like an orange, black, and white ish, but it's
Yeah,
almost like a red, like it almost looks red or pink almost. I can't even, like, to be honest with you. I think it's my lighting is really kind of crappy in here, but it looks
that
like an
one.
orange black.
That one's called Neon Orange Ninja, which I don't offer anymore.
Okay.
So I I like taking colors on and off.
Hmm.
I'm never gonna get rid of what sells, the top 3, 4, 5 colors,
Yeah.
but I keep track of all that. And if something isn't moving like the other ones are, I'm gonna swap it out. I'm gonna try something different, limited edition type stuff. Um, and at the same point, if someone contacts me and bought that color, they're like, "Hey, can you still do that?" I was like, absolutely. Like I
Right.
still have 1,000 foot of it, so we
You're
can
like, no
we can
problem.
definitely still do it for you.
Well, that's cool, man. Like, you kind of come out with new stuff, keep it fresh, not the same stuff sitting there all the time. That's cool. I respect that for sure. Now, is it pretty a labor intensive process for you to make one of these?
Yeah, it's pretty tough on the hands. I mean, it's all hands, but I it's a funny story, but I rebuilt a tin boat like in 2014, um, before I got my kayak. So I cut everything out and framed everything with aluminum channel. Um, just I was using a sawzall for it and riveting and everything. My hands hurt so bad from that. I went to a doctor and I had a carpal tunnel, so I ended up doing this. Like it doesn't make any sense, but it's pretty tough on the hands.
Hmm.
Um, After a while, you get pretty good at it, obviously, like you do anything. But yeah, like I still get blisters and sores. I burn myself all the time, and yeah, they're labor intensive. So I actually, I was showing another kayak angler how to make them. He's gonna help me out a little bit, and when I was going through that process, it kind of reminded me like how difficult and challenging it was when I all started. It's like, oh, I remember like the struggle, right?
Yeah, like at the
Um,
beginning.
yeah, it's like I mean I could fly through them now, um, just because I've had thousands and thousands of repetitions. But to watch
Hmm.
someone start from scratch was really unique. Kind of
Yeah.
cool to see.
Are you like giving him crap?
No,
Like,
I felt bad. I
did you?
Yeah, man, like it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
confusing. There's a right way to do it to get it to turn out. How I have to have it a certain way.
Hmm.
Otherwise it's not going to fly. And he came along, so like after a little bit of practice they started getting better and better. And I think they'll continue to get better and better, so it'll really help us build that inventory up that we haven't been able to do.
Yeah,
Every time I build inventory, it's gone. Like
that's
I
good.
Yeah, so if you order something right now, you'll get it mailed within a day or two, but that's because I'm making it. um, if I get a time where it slows down, I will pump out, whatever's selling, a bunch of inventory, have it ready, and then in a week or two, it's gone, and I'm back to square one. Uh,
Yeah.
so I work full time, like I mentioned, and so this is right now kind of a spare time deal, and my wife probably wishes it didn't exist for the sake of me helping more, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it is right now.
So how
Uh,
long
so
does it take to make one of these?
that's the largest one of the
Yeah,
recoil tethers. I'd say about 15 to 20 minutes to make one.
that's cool. Yeah, so it takes a little bit of time, man. It's not real simple for you. Now, what are you doing for your real job besides making tethers? Like
I'm
your
an
day
insurance
job?
adjuster.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, man. So I'm at body shops a lot. I look at crashed up metal.
Okay. I kind of do the opposite. I work in a steel industry that produces automotive steel. So we're kind of making the metal that's going to be replacing your crushed up steel. So
There you
you guys are keeping us in business.
go. And everyone else is keeping me in business. So
So do you guys have any plans to do anything at like the National Championship Expo or any of the other kayak tournaments or anything? Or maybe even like oh gosh, what ICAST?
no, no, I'm not. It's grassroots, right? Like I'm gonna keep it that way.
Cool.
My strategy right now and my goals are to stay not keep the company small, but keep the touch small.
Hmm.
Um, I really like working with a lot of the small clubs.
Cool.
Um, I like helping out the grassroots stuff. If I can get into something a little bigger, I will. Um, Talking to a few people about the that All American they're coming out with. Josh Booth is coming out with that All American. I think Tyler Cole's helping him out with that.
Mhm.
Both of those guys help me out, so I might try to get in with that. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it sounds like an awesome tournament with all the local clubs, kind of
Yeah.
having one championship. I think it's going to be on Table Rock, so it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that mix of grassroots getting bigger. So
Yeah, we had something up here Midwest wise. I'm not sure if you heard of it. It's called a Crossroads Classic. And so some of the local kind of state trails that are in the Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Ohio area did something similar. So what they ended up doing was sending like the top three to four, I'm not exactly sure the number, three to four, maybe even five anglers to this tournament. What they did is did it at a kind of centralized lake for everybody to kind of try to get the same distance of driving, and they did it as a team format. It was kind of cool. So there was like the KBL League, and then there was like the Mile team, which was the Michigan Ohio Trail. There's one that's kind of split between both states. I'm not 100% sure if the Buckeye one, because I'm in Ohio, the Buckeye one, I'm not sure did one, but they had an Illinois chapter, a couple Indiana chapters. Like it was kind of, and they had a lot of fun doing it because they did it as a team format. And it was cool seeing these teams that people kind of normally have been fishing against each other start working together as a team and helping each other out.
are they doing that again this year?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
it was pretty successful. So it's uh it's something that's kind of a little bit new, and it's kind of cool because we're seeing these like little team formats come up. Like we did one around Thanksgiving called the Turkey Bowl, and Sam Jones, the guy who does our tournament recap section, the Reel Down, he puts it on with Alan Reed, and that's a charity tournament, and it's a team format, and it's like three members on a team, and it raised like literally we put a truck, entire like pickup truck full of food that was located or donated to the like local basically food bank.
Okay.
And we had a lot of fun doing that because everybody got together with it with not being so serious, but still get to fish. It was freezing out there. It was awful. So like a lot of teams did pretty bad, but it was all really for a good cause. But yeah, I like seeing the grassroots kind of tournament trails kind of come together and put on these different like events. It's cool to see.
Yeah, it's tough to travel. I mean, like I have two kids. I work full time.
Hmm.
Obviously, I do this too. So it's like I have to make some sacrifices, and usually that sacrifices my time on the water, which
Yeah.
at the same time is kind of an excuse for me to get out sometimes. Is like hey, I need to get some photos of this, or I need to touch base with some guys, or I just want to have fun and fish, just like everybody else.
Right.
Um, so those sacrifices are definitely there, but being able to do it local and then still have an opportunity to win some big money at the end of the year without traveling 5, 6, 7, 10 hours away like some of these guys are
Right.
doing, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of put together to be able to travel like some of those like national trails like that. Like personally, I'm in the same boat as you. We were talking earlier, and we both have kids that are the same age, and people are like, "Hey, you're gonna start doing tournaments." I'm like, first off, I'm not that good of an angler to like, and I don't have the time. Like, even if I wanted to do a trail and I did the trail, I still couldn't put it together to be able to go pre-fish for 2 or 3 days prior to it to try to make like, make a decent chance at it. It's not gonna happen. So
Exactly.
I mean, I'm good with the weekend warrior type thing. Go out, do some floats on the river with the dudes from, my shop and some of the paddle and fin. Because Brad and I both start fishing here, and it's hilarious because we kind of met through paddle and fin, and we live 5 minutes away from each other. We became both hosts, and it's hilarious. And I knew Brad like through a website before, like a fishing forum, but never had met him. But like we just kind of do some of the little tournaments here. It's kind of fun, doing the podcast stuff, but it takes up a good amount of time
Oh yeah,
to sit down and try to schedule out interviews and contact people. So it's like, I don't need to make the wife too much more angry than she already gets. So,
that's
you
tough
know,
balance.
yeah, it is. It definitely is. But, I think she's maybe your wife's like mine. She kind of sees it, the passion I have for it. So she supports it to an extent. She just doesn't want to interfere too much where I don't get to spend time with the boys. But I told her, I was like, you're going to be in trouble soon, probably in about the next 3 to 4 years when all of a sudden you realize we're like a fishing team and you're going to have to learn to fish to see your kids. So,
Yeah, that's a good plan. I like that a lot. I took my kids out sledding for like an hour before their nap time today, just to I knew I had this going on the night and wasn't going to be able to help like I normally do.
mhm.
Um, so we had a good time. We got too much snow already, and I'm ready for open water. But
Yeah, where are you located at?
I'm in the Des Moines, Iowa area.
So you guys got some of the snow with the storm?
Yeah, we got lucky. Like it hasn't winter didn't start until a week or two after the new year, and
Hmm.
then it was constant. That's kind of what it did last year too, and I hope it's not a repeat because last year was miserable. Um, but it took a while to make ice too. Like I'm from Northeast Iowa originally,
Hmm.
um, small town, and I went back up home for the Christmas. Had a few days off, went ice fishing a ton because they always get ice weeks before we do. Um, and God, the weather down here, people in central Iowa were not able to even ice fish until after Christmas. So they were
Yeah.
itching bad. They were driving north, doing whatever they could just to go.
Yeah, we get a little bit. I'm in the southern part of Ohio, and we had like this weird 45 to 55 degree average happening throughout January, and
Wow.
it's still around. Like we don't they keep calling for snow, but eventually somehow that warm air keeps pushing up, man, and it turns into rain. Like I went out to the truck earlier before we jumped on our call, and I was grabbing, I grabbed a couple of the rods I took to the fishing expo, put them back in the garage, and I was like, dude, it's just like kind of icy, but not real bad. And then I'm like, I guarantee, I checked the weather and it's gonna be. I don't know that we're gonna get snow. Like I don't even know that it's gonna happen this year. I guarantee it's probably gonna be like what you said. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be like February, and then it's gonna be March, and then I'm like, did it snow literally on April 15th? It's gonna be something weird like that. Because in
Yeah,
Ohio, I'm convinced that the seasons are shifting like a month later than what they're supposed to at this point.
that's possible. We
It's
we
so
always
weird.
get those same storms. It's like, oh, spring's coming. Like it's middle of March. All the snow finally melted, and Mother Nature will give you one last taste of it, and it's
Mhm.
usually a bad one.
Yeah, yeah, it's the worst one. So, do you guys got any upcoming plans? Any new products or anything? Do you guys do anything else besides the tethers? Like the tool tethers? Do you do anything else that is kind of
Uh,
unique?
so I guess I would say what was unique is really the ice fishing stuff. Like, um, I'm in a territory like we talked where we get a lot of ice,
Hmm.
or I can go north and get even more ice, um, and nothing was out there at all for ice fishing, it was last winter, and it's like, well, I'm gonna go fishing. I'm gonna make something for myself and see what works and see what I like. And I made that triple tether up, which in the wintertime, kayak a little bit, but in the wintertime it's huge.
Hmm.
Wearing your bibs and clipping on your tools, it's so easy. They're right there. The cell phone ones are great for that too. There's stories about phones down ice holes all the time. Um, I mean, whether you don't want to lose it down an ice hole or you just don't want to drop it on the slush on the top or whatever it may be, you
Right.
don't want to get your tools cold, all that stuff. Like it just works great. Um, that's why we're busy 12 months out of the year. There's no slowdown. It, I mean, I'm selling a lot of stuff right now, down south because up here it's still ice, and
Right.
that'll transition over probably mid-March or so when people up here really get that itch. But right now everyone's full-blown ice. But um, as for like new products, we do have a new product coming out probably within the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Cool.
Trying to get some promotional stuff kind of set up for it and do it right. It is a rod leash. That's about all I'm going to say about it. It is
Yeah.
like nothing that anyone has or anyone's seen before. And I think people are going to be really impressed by it, how easy it is to use. It's a different take on it. I will not call anything a game changer by any means because it's a rod leash. It does one thing, right?
Right.
It as long as it does its job and keeps that rod in the boat so you don't lose it, it's going to do its job, and you're going to like how it does it.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. I'm excited to hear it. I don't personally actually use rod leashes. I tend to use nothing, and I tend to chuck my baitcaster setups into the water. So maybe it's something I'll have to check out and start utilizing. So um now you were kind of mentioning about like being into ice fishing and that sort of thing. Did you guys also get like that Christmas rush at the same time you were doing some ice fishing business?
Yeah. I mean, Black Friday and ice fishing like hand in hand just mesh together.
Yeah.
Like so, everyone that fishes knows what the itch is. Like you, all of a sudden, just are so darn eager to get out. And up here because I mean, you're more in the north as well, but because you have the seasons,
Hmm.
um, it's just crazy. So when everyone has that ice fishing itch, and then Black Friday comes, like I was working 5 hours every night just trying to keep up, and it was crazy. It was great, but it was crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours to be putting in too, man, on top of your day job. So,
Yeah, you got to be able to work off 4 or 5 hours of sleep. So
yeah. And you've got two little ones, man. It's like you're like you think you might catch up, and nope, that one of the little ones decided to be sick or
yep.
come in and see mommy and daddy, and yeah, I feel your pain there, man.
Yeah. Well, if anything, they help prepare me for the lack of sleep. So
They trained you.
very well.
Well,
Yeah.
I just want to say, I did appreciate you sending in stuff in and letting us try it out. I know some of the guys that didn't have tethers, they were real excited to try the stuff out, and I was interested to see, like, what the difference in just two of the well-known companies that are making these, for the kayak fishing community, like how do they compare? What's cool about it is they're both very similar, yet they have their own things too, to separate you guys apart. And I think that it's kind of a healthy thing to have, like, a little bit of competition in business. You don't, it'd be great like that if like, because you're kind of trying to keep this grassroots. You said, like, you're working, 8-9 hours a day at your day job, and then you're putting in 5 hours during the busy time, during shopping season, man. That's a lot of time. And it could be something, if you were the only company out there, that you could get in over your head and realize, man, I can't stay caught up with it, and then potentially lose business because of that.
Hmm.
But it's cool seeing kayak anglers come up with some, innovative products that really kind of, you guys are utilizing what your needs are to kind of get that out to somebody else, like, hey, it's like you said, you started utilizing this with, ice fishing because you found, hey, it's a need, and this this goes beyond sitting in a kayak, a lot of this stuff could go beyond fishing within itself, and, it's cool. It's cool. I wish you all the success in the world, man. Do you got any other kind of things that you got coming up as far as like maybe just kayaking in general, any kind of tournaments? Like you said, you were in the local thing. What are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah, well, the first thing I need to do is buy a new boat.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel
I
you there.
I had a Old Town Predator PDL that I sold at the end of the last season. So when I go to Canoecopia, like that's on top of my mind. So I need to get something to float. Haven't decided what it is yet. Like I said, that Slayer Max looks nice. Uh, Titan looks nice too, man. Like my daughter's 4, and I want to take her out, and I think it'd be pretty easy to do in a Titan as big as it is.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just looking at fish. I mean, personally, whether it's just for fun or tournaments, and we have our local trail here, and I'll probably do 2 or 3 of those. I sponsor clubs. I mean, all around the Midwest. I want to go to theirs too. Like I want to hang out with them and fish their tournament. And Nebraska has one in April. That's in Omaha. I can do. That's only 2 hours from here. That's closer than some of them here in Iowa.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on in the Midwest, and I'm just looking forward to fish and helping people out.
Heck yeah, man. That's how I am. I'm not a big tournament guy, so I'm just itching to get back out on the water. It's been since maybe the beginning of November since I fished at all. And I was telling Ricketts at the show, I'm like, dude, I just want to get out there. And then our dry suits finally came in. So I got excited. I'm like, all right, dude, we're going to record like a really goofy video of us falling out of our kayaks with dry suits on. But I really want to fish too. So we got
Don't
pretty
ruin your
stoked.
day.
Right. Well, we're thinking about even getting like the fire rescue team down to the shop and set up and see if they have an interest in it, because those guys trained to do it. And I think they could even benefit to kind of get awareness out there. Like we'll get some social media awareness out. Like, hey, this is the kind of stuff when you guys aren't wearing like proper gear that can happen, and maybe interview some of the fire rescue and let them give their take on it. So, but you know one of the things we were going to ask, you kind of answered my question there, was like, what kayak were you in? And obviously you don't have one yet, but you're going to look at one. So yeah, I'm looking to try to upgrade this year also. So I haven't quite figured it out. I was kind of looking at the Jackson U-Pick. I like taking my little one. He's 4, and he really likes to get out on the rivers. And that boat has this really, really crazy, comfortable, open front layout of the boat where he can sit. And it's even got a gear track that's extra long that runs almost the entire length of the boat, where I could put an extra seat in eventually if I'd like to. So
Yeah, that's cool. I think like even like New Canoe sells like a buddy seat, right?
yeah,
I can't remember for what, Frontier maybe. I don't know what boat it was, but they sell like a buddy seat or a kid seat where you can install it on the tracks and take them out. So, that's cool. I'm looking forward to doing that this summer with my daughter as well, and with my son when he's a little bit older.
yeah. So have you guys thought about doing like some? I know you're active on social media, and you got some anglers on board to start like posting for you guys. Are you guys gonna do anything like video wise or anything to that nature this year? Some like mini Robohawk commercials going on?
Uh, there will be some of that. You will definitely see some. Um, Luckily, I got some good connections in that route. But the first thing on my agenda is actually tutorials, kind of like you and I talked about today.
Yeah.
You only get so much from a picture. I mean, knowing the different mounting options and how they work and how to attach them, and you
Yeah.
just have to see it. So uh, sometime in February, those will probably be on the website under the individual products themselves. So we'll do the ones for the tool tethers, the recoil series, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll do the phone ones too. So a lot of people have questions about them. They want to, if you can see them compared to a phone, it's going to help. If you can see how it attaches to a seat or a tool or whatever you want, like you'll get a better idea, and that's going to be important, I think, coming up, and kind of help our customers out, and that's the ultimate goal with that.
Heck yeah, man. Look forward to seeing that as well. Well, I do appreciate you coming on. Like I said, we had fun testing this stuff out. sorry, Daniel, again that I forgot the part that you actually needed the most. So, was there anything else you wanted to add in? Anything, any other fishing sponsors you might have? Anybody you want to shout out tonight?
No, man, I'm my only sponsor.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all right.
I don't seek that stuff out too much. Like you mentioned earlier, like I'm not a good angler. Like I'm mediocre at best.
Yeah,
And I'll own up to it. I'm not going to try to be something I'm not.
that's all
So
right, man. I feel
Robohawk is my only sponsor. Absolutely.
like I paddle for Loveland Canoe and Kayak. They were who I bought my kayak stuff from before, and they started to do like a team. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm more than happy to represent somebody who provided good customer service and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm not really sponsored by Paddle and Fin. I just kind of work for them for free. No,
You wear the hat, man. You got it down. That's all you got
but
to do.
yeah, we get the hats,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I have a lot of fun doing this. I'm like, yeah, I got so much time. The podcasting and talking to people in the companies, kind of, within the industry from different companies. It's a good time. You kind of learn things that maybe you didn't kind of realize before about the product, or like you said, different mounting options, that sort of thing. It's those little things. If we don't talk about it, people don't really may necessarily think about it, and they might do something that works better for one person, but not for the other, and it's cool to open up all that, all those options for everybody to be able to utilize and benefit to, whatever degree that they want. But dude, like I said before, I appreciate you coming on. I did notice that when we were talking earlier before, Ben and I had slight connection issues when we first started. Like the first 10 minutes of our conversation before we recorded went like superbly well, and the instant that I hit record, everything went downhill from there. So I think we kind of realized that maybe his Wi-Fi signal was kind of in a bad spot, so he moved. And I kind of wish he didn't, but I did notice that you had your flag behind you, and so I assume that you're a veteran, correct?
No, no, I'm not at all.
You're not?
No, you don't have to be a veteran to love the United States of America.
That's awesome, man. Well, no,
So
see, I thought maybe you were,
no,
but that's cool.
I just love supporting all the guys. Obviously, like the kayak fishing, all the anglers, there are a lot of veterans, and that's important to me. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take it seriously, and I'm not a veteran, but I have a lot of family members that were. I'm just going to support it all the way.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. That's really cool. I did not serve. I attempted to, but things kind of fell through because I was too self-serving myself to kind of worry about stuff like that back then. But I congratulate you on the success that Robohawk is having, and I do wish that you guys continue to grow. It's cool to see, like I said, the small companies, this grassroots style of business that people are doing. Because I've met guys who are making tournament ID holders, and they're awesome. And it's like, dude, like that thing's gonna blow up, man. It's gonna overtake some of the other options that people have been using for a while, in my opinion. Once they see it and they start seeing it more on like social media and that thing, and that was kind of the same thing that when we first started seeing the tethers, you're like, dude, this is gonna blow up for these guys. Granted, you guys are small, but it's like, it's still keeping you busy, it's making you some extra money, and it's cool. I appreciate it, man, because
Yeah,
you guys are making stuff that keeps us from losing our money, like we invest in. And the last thing you want to do is lose your $60 catch board, or your $900 mini television that sits in your pocket.
yeah. It's some of it's more important than others, but whether you spend $10 on a set of pliers or 40, like, would you rather just buy it once and just call it a
Right.
day, or it really could ruin your day. Like a set of pliers could ruin your day.
Yeah.
Like as simple as that. Yes, your phone absolutely will, but your pliers or your scissors, whatever you cut line with, like if you don't have your braid scissors, what are you gonna do? Like
Yeah.
if you break off, you're kind of done.
Or
So
like
it's
say you catch like a giant pike, and just before then you dropped your pliers and you go to try to take a hook out and it eats
nope,
your finger off.
not gonna
Uh,
happen. Like it's weird. Like that stuff's not important. Like some people buy the cheapest stuff out there, and that's fine. But you should protect it, and you work hard for that money, and might as well strap it up and make sure you don't have to buy it once.
Heck yeah, man. Well, thanks again, Ben. Anytime you want to come back on the show, you want to talk, feel free to reach out. Paddle and Finn, we're always more than welcome to have you back on, man. All right.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Not a problem. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good year so far. Feel free to check us out on YouTube or all the other social media aspects, as well as all the podcast platforms that we're on. Once you get on there, if you could give us like a 5-star rating or thumbs up, whatever it is, whatever rating system, it really kind of helps. It's not necessarily to kind of promote us as much as it is to start trying to reach other anglers that might have an interest in seeing it as well. That's what helps actually kind of spread paddle and fin across the board, and other people might like it as well. So, but with that, tight lines and smooth paddling.
Go check out the website, guys. Paddle, the letter N in fin.com. Also check out YouTube, youtube.com/paddle and fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest, feel free to email us at paddle, the letter N in fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're doing giveaways, announcements, things like that at Facebook and Instagram at paddle and fin. Shout out to our show supporters, Rocktown Adventures, Loveland Canoe and Kayak, Hammered Lures, Fish Mob Lures, TRC Covers, Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com. You could put the paddle and fin logo right on your catch board. Don't forget to go over and pick up your JigMasters Jigs. Use promo code PNF20 and save 20% today. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. It helps grow the audience, helps others find our podcast. So please drop a 5-star rating in on the podcast platform you're listening on. Don't forget about the recycled plastics program, you guys. Take your used plastic baits, put them in an envelope, mail them to the address in the show notes. Our man Eric Richards at Hammered Lures melts those down, makes new baits, and donates them to various chapters of Heroes on the Water.